Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Fish Den 365. I'm Den Haring, and welcome back to Top Water Tuesday. Today we have an intriguing one because we're going to be talking about the Jackalll PikuPiku. Okay, so this is an extremely interesting lure, right? Look at this, it's different. It's meant to be a finesse topwater lure. That's how this thing is billed. It's made by Jackalll. It's called a PikuPiku. And it's intriguing to me. There's some things I really like about it and some things I was not thrilled about with it. One of the things I hated about it was it came with these tiny little hooks. Let me show you this hook a little more clearly here. I mean, it's a little hook and it's made of a material that feels brittle. Like I can break that tine off without much trouble. I'm sure of it. It's already ready to go with just a little bit of pressure. So I don't like that about it. And I replaced those hooks with larger hooks. You can see they're quite a bit larger here, you know, but I didn't feel comfortable with this. But it is a finesse bait meant to be fished with like 6-pound tests, so maybe that's why you can get away with a little tiny hook like this. I just wasn't comfortable with it. I switched it out to Gamakatsu number 6s. They're larger, but they're not too large for the bait as far as interfering with the bait. Obviously they add more weight, so they could change the action of the bait a little bit, and so there's that I have to account for, and I might have to experiment with it a little bit to see if it's actually hurting the action of the bait. I did play with the bait some. I did fish it a little bit, not long, half an hour or so, but I did get some time to play with the bait, so I can at least give you some opinions about it. And also I'd love to hear your opinion of it if you have experience with this. So this is meant to be a finesse topwater bait, and you're really meant to tie the bait on, or to attach it right here at the top, not here. It's interesting though that they have a line tie at the top and one here too, and I'll remember to tell you a little bit about that one because I did experiment with that as well. So when I look at this bait and realize that it's a finesse type bait, it's meant to be fished with spinning gear because, you know, it's a light bait. You're not going to be able to throw it very far on baitcaster unless you have specialized bait cast gear. It really seems to be better to be thrown on spinning gear. I would use 10-pound test braid as my braided line, and then I would use a 6-pound test. Maybe I'd go up to 8-pound test max monofilament as a leader, and I'd use 2 rod lengths of leader for this bait. Probably would stick with 6-pound where I could, because the lighter the line, the more action you can give the bait. And when I look at this bait and I think about it, I look at it as a situational bait. I think it could be best used in a couple of different situations. The first is I would throw this to specific cover, dock pilings, stumps, standing timber. This is where I might be able to utilize this bait, because when you tie this bait on, and I use a snap, but you can tie it directly here, you know, when you throw this out, it's not meant to be retrieved back. It's meant to be left sitting in the water and just every now and then twitching your rod so that this bait dances and dips and moves on the surface. And so that's what makes it interesting though, because there isn't very many other baits that are designed to do that. And so you would move it a little bit and then let it sit still. Move it a little bit, let it sit still, and then maybe try and rock it back and forth so that it looks like an injured bait fish on the water. And one interesting thing about it is the shape of it. I really kind of like, because this is the other situation that I would use this bait in, the other circumstance. Usually in summer, and especially fall and late fall, and even now coming into winter with the cold water, you're out there fishing during the day, and if there's bait fish around in the evening when the sun begins to go down, so now you're talking late afternoon, early evening, the water sometimes will calm down and you'll see these little bait fish coming out of the water. They're alewives where I fish, they could be shad where you fish, and in some of the lakes I fish, they look like this. They jump out of the water, and I'm sure some of you have noticed this, and there's lots of them jumping out of the water, and they're on the surface, especially on humid days. This happens where there's humidity in the air, and every now and then you'll see smallmouths or something breaking into them. Well, that would be another situation where I would definitely throw this bait, because obviously it looks just like those fish. The other place is the rivers, right? The Delaware River has a shad spawn, and those baby shad come down in September. They come down the river en masse, and they look like this too. They're jumping out of the water, and this doesn't have to be the evening. This could be all day long this goes on, and a lot of times you'll see the smallmouths breaking into them and eating them. Again, this bait would be a great imitation of that. It's got a really nice finish. I like the color of this particular one with this dark black back, some blue and purple in there, a little bit of yellow on the gills, good eyes. All those things are positives for me. But you're not going to fish this bait fast. You're not going to be able to work a lot of water with it, and that's what makes it situational, right? Two situations I can think of: throwing it to specific cover, throwing it out when you have those alewives on the surface that this thing can imitate. So that's how I would fish this. Now, there is another way you can fish it. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but I attached a snap to the front of it just to see what would happen, and I worked it like a jerk bait. It doesn't go down very deep, but it has a really good jerkbait action when you do that. It dances and moves all around, and now you can cover some water with it. And I would think that, and this is something I'll have to do next year with it, is throw this on the Delaware River, because I think I can catch a lot of smallmouths fishing it like a jerkbait just under the surface. If you stop, it'll go back up and float back up again. But you can really get a decent jerkbait action out of this, and this would be true in the lakes as well. Kind of like a finesse jerkbait. And I'm sure you can catch some fish that way with it, especially when they're up near the surface. So that's the PikuPiku made by Jackalll. Please comment, let me know what you think of this bait. I'd really be interested if you have experience with this bait. Some people are saying that, I think most people would agree it's a situational bait, but some people have found the situations where they say this thing really catches fish. And I can see where it would. There's not many negative cues that it gives off, right? It has a natural look to it. You fish it on light line, finesse presentation. As long as there's fish around, I would think you can catch them on this. The question is, you got to find those fish, and you got to find those situations where it becomes beneficial to throw this. And that's Topwater Tuesday for today. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to give the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. There's a lot of content on this channel, a lot of good material. Take a look at the playlists. There's something for everyone here. I have good material for people to learn all about the art and science of fishing, especially bass fishing. That's what we're all about. We're certified bassified. Can't wait to get out on the water again myself. Hope to see you out there, and as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.